Hi everybody, I am joined here by Kellie Ewing, who has just joined our team as an engineering recruitment consultant. So welcome Kellie to the
Thank
team.
you very much.
So today is International Women's Day, and us haven't had previous conversations, Kellie. You've told me you've had a lot of experience within HR, but one thing you told me which really stood out was that you were an engineer. So of course I wanted to kind of dive deep into that conversation and hear more about that. So suppose we'll get straight into it. I'd love to know where your passions came from, like to get into engineering. How did it all start for you?
Well, at school, I didn't say I want to be an engineer. I think on a weekly basis, my career ambitions would change, and I really just wasn't sure what I wanted to do when I got older. Throughout school, I had a really good technical ability. I was creative, I was arty, but I wasn't sure how to link those skills, into a job role. But as I sort of got more experience and started working, nothing was really, the ideal fit. I didn't feel that this was the right job for me. I always was wanting more. I felt that I was capable of more. So whenever I was driving home one day, I had a really horrible day at work in the retail industry. The recession had just started, so things were very, very difficult. I heard the advert for Bombardier, and they were trying to gain some interest in their apprenticeship program. I mean, initially I would thought apprentices, 17, 18-year-olds, never thought that it would be something that I could do or be capable of. So I looked at it. As soon as I got home, it was the first thing I looked up on the computer. There was no age limit to apply, and there was sort of different journeys within the apprenticeship program that you could go through dependent on, your skill set and your educational ability at the start. So Bombardier were definitely very open to trying to get a lot of different people from the community into their organisation, because it is important to be able to, offer people roles that are from more deprived areas in Belfast, and the surrounding areas. So it was really, really good opportunity, and to be honest, I just thought this is ideal for me. I want to do this, and it sort of matched my skill set, and it just went from there. It just all started off, and I was 27 when I started my apprenticeship program, and I'm 40 this year. So
Well, you don't look 40. No, that's a really interesting point you made there about how, Bombardier, they specifically said there's no age restrictions here. And I think that could quite deter a lot of people from applying to apprenticeship roles, because there is, again, this perception of that apprenticeships are graduate roles, or, from 18 to 25-year-olds. So that's an amazing point, though, because it just shows there are no timeline to start a new opportunity, no matter what career it's in. Being a part of Bombardier must have been an amazing experience, because they are probably one of the most well-known organisations within aerospace. What was your role within Bombardier?
So I was a materials and processes engineer for them, and every day was so different. We could be working on individual projects. I would do some chemical work in the lab, testing how products would be cleaned properly, because obviously the water goes down into the drains and into the sewage system, and we have to be very corporate responsible whenever we are dealing with things like that. Specifications for components of the aircraft was something that I would have did a lot of work on. So attention to detail, being able to know what should be on a specification, and compare a specification for one component with another. Say, for example, a supplier needed to change whatever component they were using, or the brand name, or whatever, something like that, to make sure that the approved specification or the approved component was still being used in the aircraft, dependent, or irrespective of supplier of the product.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So Kellie, within the engineering industry, a lot of the STEM careers, they are quite male dominated. And I suppose in a way there are a lot of negative perceptions for females wanting to get into these industries, that they lack the confidence to get in, to apply. They are worried about coming into a male dominated environment. They're also worried that they may not have the same career progressions as their male counterparts. And I would love to know, with you being a female who was an engineer, what would you say to those perceptions?
I mean, I joined Bombardier in 2009, and I didn't really have any experience that could have been sort of deemed as negative at all. You know, yes, I was one of very few females that were in the apprenticeship program. I think it was three females out of 44. But everybody was supportive. You were welcomed as a team member, just like anybody else was. The trainers, the management, you know, everybody just treated you as an individual. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you're there to do a good job, and just as often I provided the results just as much as the males did within the same department. I would encourage any female that has that kind of skill set or has that interest in engineering to just go for it. I mean, your confidence will develop. It, you know, it's not something that you may have on the outset, but any job or any career choice will be daunting at the start. You know, you're going to be joining a new industry, a new team, but I think a week in you'll probably feel, you know, supported, you'll feel welcomed, you'll find that you get everything that you need to do or everything that you need to be able to do the job well. And it's a fabulous career choice as well. There's so many opportunities within Northern Ireland, and to be honest, with a lot of talent moving away from the country, you know, maybe to study and not coming back, there is a skills shortage within the STEM subjects, which is why sort of STEM was introduced, and it's trying to encourage not only females but everyone to, you know, continue with the STEM subjects. And at this point in time, it is so important to have a gender balanced, inclusive and diverse workforce. You know, because, you know, everybody has equal opinions, everybody has talent, everybody has a different skill set to be able to, you know, contribute to the performance of the team and of the organisation.
Couldn't say it better myself, especially at International Women's Day. Amazing. No, that's brilliant. And I know from having conversations with you as well, you did a lot of work when you worked with Bombardier at schools and promoting the STEM subjects. And I suppose then we kind of going back to that stereotype and perceptions that young boys like to play with their airplanes and they're interested in aerospace and engineering. But how did you find when you went into the schools how the young girls were in, you know, when it came to kind of learning about those subjects?
No, absolutely. So we would have went into primary schools probably from about P4 onwards, and I mean the children were all very shy when we first came in, didn't know why we were there, we were complete strangers, but what we brought with us was the tools to be able to allow the children to make a paper airplane, and not just the one that you fold up and you fly, but it's cutting out all the parts and it's learning about what those parts are. It's how you put it together. We use like a lollipop stick to be able to give you know the fuselage of the aircraft, and then we go outside and we test them. So there is a real level of excitement as soon as we get started. You know, everybody is just asking questions. There's really no more engagement from the boys as the girls. You know, everybody wants to get it cut out, get it made and get flying it. You know, there's just a level of competitiveness. And then when we go outside and we fly them, it's like the children are just so excited, and I think the teacher actually spends the entire rest of the day trying to calm them down, so they hate us coming probably, but it is a really good experience because it's fun and it's interactive and it's just giving the children that knowledge and the company name, you know, and it may go in and out one ear, but you know, for some it will stick there and it will sort of plant a seed for that interest in engineering.
Yeah, no, that sounds brilliant because I don't remember anything like that when I was in school. So I love the fact that, you know, you've got these STEPS programs and STEM programs coming in, because I know Engineers Ireland are doing it this week. This week is like they're constantly doing it, but this week is a great awareness week for science, technology, engineering programs within schools. So that's great to see. And overall, you know, it's so great to teach young kids too that there's so many opportunities out there across all like careers, whether it's in STEM, elsewhere, And it just shows like there's, for females in particular, you can go out there, you can thrive off the skills that you love to do and make a career out of it, become a professional at it. Like I know you've got Beth Peretta. She's an amazing kind of ambassador for that female engineer, and she has her own motorsport organisation too. We're actually have a meeting or a webinar with her in June for Women in Engineering Day. So, you know, it's incredible to see the talent of females and in the engineering industry, and especially within Northern Ireland, because we're seeing that within the Queen's Formula student too. There's a lot of females that are getting involved with that, and it's incredible to see. And of course, with your experience, and you're definitely also an ambassador for kind of females within engineering. And I'm sure if there was anyone out there that had questions for you and they needed kind of some answers on how to get into the industry, and of course now with you being the engineering recruiter here at Vickerstock, you would most likely be able to kind of steer females in the right direction of a career of their choice.
No, absolutely. If anybody, you know, wants to have a chat about what is available out there, you know, or how their skill set could, you know, potentially link with any of the engineering roles that are available. I mean, Northern Ireland has a huge manufacturing engineering sector, and like I said before, engineering can you know, take up so many different shapes and forms. You know, you don't have to necessarily be great at maths to be an engineer, you know, which is something maybe that I had thought about before, which distracted me slightly, because I am okay at maths but not brilliant at maths.
I'm terrible at maths. I'm really
but
bad.
I think that the real important thing to sort of take on board is that talent is talent.
Yeah.
And, you know, whether you're a male, female, or whatever, you know, the situation is, you know, companies want you to work for them, and they will help develop, they will support you in whatever way they can, and, you know, that's a positive for both yourself and for the organisations.
Yeah, amazing. Well, that was so great to chat to you, Kelly, and you know, you've said everything we needed to hear, especially on International Women's Day.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
And yeah, we'll be back soon, especially with Beth Prada coming to join us in June for Women in Engineering. So there's lots to talk about, lots to make noise about. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.